Now, hundreds of thousands of Russians are thought to have left their homeland since September, when President Putin announced a military call-up of young men to fight in Ukraine. They've gone to destinations around the world, including one place that likely feels familiar. That's Serbia. The Eastern European country has long had close ties with Russia, ties that have only gotten stronger since the war broke out. Our correspondent, Fanny Facsar, met one man who was able to escape Putin's draft, but not his propaganda.
The owners didn't feel they had to change the name or the decor when Russia invaded Ukraine. Customers were not put off. They admire the Russian leader.
Putin is the only real leader in the world. All the others are just politicians, but he looks after his country and his people.
Many here in Zrenjanin, near Belgrade, feel that the West caused the Ukraine war. And yet, it's where Andrzej, a Russian journalist, fled to last September. Before the war, he had reported on corruption, a risky pursuit which became too dangerous when men started being drafted into the army.
I left because of mobilization, because of the real risk of go to jail or go to war. I would not go to war anyway, so I could face jail or torture or anything else. You can pick it, and I decided to leave. Right now,
he decided to come to Serbia because he had some friends here. He escaped the Putin regime, but not his propaganda.
They have problems with information about war. I'm not in the position to tell Serbian people what they should think and how they should transform their media.
Andrzej says he feels safe here, but he plans to leave and is more open when talking in private than when the camera is rolling. Belgrade city center shows how close links between the countries have helped spread the Russian narrative on Serbian media. Russia's propaganda mouthpiece recently launched a local online service.
Serbia is not the most obvious place of refuge for the thousands fleeing Russia. Many Serbs here support the Russian regime.
Glory to Russia is painted just outside Serbia's presidential office. Polls say more than half of the Serbian population sees Putin as Serbia's closest foreign ally.
He's a good leader because he's challenging the elite, because he's shaking up the world order.
Sometimes people in Serbia try to break through Russia's propaganda. These protesters are showing the names of bombed Ukrainian towns in front of a Christmas tree donated by Russia. Their attempt to create awareness is quickly cut short, though. Russians are welcome in Serbia, but criticism against Russia, less so.
That report by DW's Fanny Facsar, who joins us now from Vienna. Fanny, explain to us why Serbia is one of the main host countries for Russians in exile.
For very, very pragmatic reasons, because it is very close to the European Union. That makes Serbia quite attractive, especially for those Russians who flee Russia for economic reasons, who want to set up a business as quick as possible and just start a new life or go on with some sort of a life that they've been used to, a middle-class income life in Russia. So very pragmatic reasons there, apart from the fact that there are direct flights between Russia and Serbia on a daily basis. But what I found quite strange is really the people who flee due to political reasons, like the journalists we have seen in that report, and so many activists and people who spoke up against Vladimir Putin when they were in Russia, but now being in Serbia and really surrounded by their propaganda, it's really too difficult to actually find people like the journalists in our report that speak up in front of the camera about the fact why they left. And in many cases, they do not really articulate their opposition when it comes to Vladimir Putin in their host countries, for example, in Serbia, because they're so fearful that security agents from Russia that operate from Serbia as well, that they may some sort of have an impact on the people that they have left behind in Russia. So it's a very complex picture, and certainly it's one of those questions that you propose first, not for those that left for economic reasons, but really the ones who left Russia for political reasons to flee from Vladimir Putin's regime, that they actually go to Serbia where the majority of the population supports Vladimir Putin.
So tell us more about these ties between Russia and Serbia. Why are they so strong, apart from the fact that it's easy to get from one to the other?
Well, very bluntly put, cheap gas. Just after, a few months after the war in Ukraine began, Serbia's President Vucic actually extended its Gazprom contract with Russia. So his country receives basically gas under the market price. So it's due to economic interest there. But also, Russia's stance on Kosovo is the same as is Serbia's. Kosovo, that declared independence in 2008, is not recognized as an independent state, neither by Serbia nor by Russia. So in a way, Serbia wants Russia to stay an ally, even though it's more like a passive ally to say so. In this context, that Serbia would like to join the European Union, but at the same time doesn't really progress there. So it seems like really Serbia is a little bit in between two chairs that really couldn't be more farther from each other between the EU and Russia. And the war in Ukraine really exposes this bizarre connection that Serbia has with Russia. But the country is at crossroads. The pressure is really increasing on Serbia to sign those sanctions, to impose those sanctions on Russia, that the EU countries have done so, if it really wants to join the European Union. So really, this is a situation where Serbia needs to understand the more it flirts with Russia, the more it may risk also its way forward. The ones who really see the future of Serbia within the European Union and more towards the West.
DW's Fanny Facsar, thanks so much for that.